Hello, and welcome to Wired for Change, where we look at the people, technologies, and ideas reshaping our world. I'm your host, Amy Yee. We think a lot about technology and the systems that we're building, but we don't want to lose sight of the people in them as well. And so today it's about people and it's about community. I'm very pleased to be joined by Jennifer Miller, who is the Executive Director of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Lanark County. She's also a counselor for the town of Smith Falls. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here, Amy.
Amazing. So I'm going to say a little bit about our venue today as well. So we are live from the open house at Relevance Technology Services. Their open house for their new offices in beautiful Canada, and we're excited to be here. I'm also going to mention that this is the 50th episode of Wired for Change, and I'm very proud to have 50 episodes, 50 wonderful guests that have joined us. Some of them are in the room with us today, and I'm very proud of that and happy to make this the 50th episode.
Wow. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So we're going to start by talking a little bit about Big Brothers Big Sisters as an organization for those of us who haven't perhaps heard of the organization or know too much about the work. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the history.
Sure. Well, it actually started in Canada in 1913 in the beautiful city of Toronto. And so there are now 83 agencies across the country, including one in beautiful Ottawa and one in Lanark County. So we're well represented in the region. We started in Lanark County 53 years ago.
Wow.
Yes, it was a good year. and last year we served 686 kids in Lanark County.
That's incredible.
So we offer a variety of mentoring programs. Historically, people may know our traditional Big Brother, Little Brother, Big Sister, Little Sister program where a volunteer adult would be matched with a child, usually a child from a vulnerable situation. Perhaps it's poverty or insecurity or a difficult home life, and they would spend a few hours a week together. As time passes, what we're learning is the needs are more complex. And in a community like Lanark County, which is very rural, made up of 4 towns, there's a lot of need that isn't met by other agencies. We don't have all the services that a city does. And so we do a lot of group programming where it might be one adult volunteer to a few kids. I was talking to one of our guests today. Maybe it's a fishing trip, maybe it's a cooking class, but we try to meet the kids where they're at. And we really try to help address the vulnerability and the resilience building that kids need today.
Okay. I'd like to know a little bit more about what kids need today. What are some of those unmet needs? And we live in a world that's post-COVID, but some of those impacts haven't left. We live in a very digital world where it can be hard for kids to get away from their screens, for instance.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of this factors in, but
All of
just,
it does.
looking at like the landscape, what do kids need today?
Yeah, kids need the same thing they've always needed in terms of a caring adult. And I don't know about you growing up, but maybe you had a coach or a teacher who took that little extra time with you. Now families are spread across the country. Kids aren't as well connected in a human way. And what we're really seeing is a struggle with mental health. So I was preparing for this and I read some reports from Sick Kids and from Canada Mental Health Association, and 70% of kids today report a decline in their mental health since COVID. And that's a really scary statistic. And so what we really need to do is focus on building up those kids and building their self-esteem. And so that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, thanks for that. Really,
it's tough right now.
For sure, for sure. And so if we were to look a little bit deper then at some of those stories of impact.
Yeah.
You said you were going to make me cry today.
That's my goal, Amy. Yeah, that's why I came.
But we were saying that you helped 686 kids. That's in a year,
yeah,
right?
It is.
So tell us a little bit about some of those kids. Maybe.
Yeah, so I was thinking about which stories I could share, and I thought I'd start with an old story and then share a new story, if that is okay with you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so 20 years ago, I became a big sister. And I was matched with a little girl named Michaela, who was 6 years old. And Michaela's mom had passed of cancer. And so her dad was raising her and 2 brothers. And so she was the queen bee of the house, but very much alone in that. And I'd never done babysitting. I had no experience with kids. I thought, what am I doing? But we really clicked over French fries and doing hair and simple little things that I could teach her. Now, she took me rock climbing. So let me tell you, she taught me too, which made it really fun. But ultimately, I got invited to her kindergarten graduation. And her teacher, Anne, bought her a little white dress for her graduation. That's the transition into the new story, Amy, because Anne became a big sister last year. And Anne is a retired teacher now, and she was matched with a little gentleman in our community whose mom is no longer in the picture. And it's just him and dad. And he really needed a female figure in his life. And so for Christmas this year, um, this little fellow and his dad bought a little necklace for Anne. And on the end of the necklace, it's a puzzle piece. And when they presented it to Anne, they said she was the missing piece in their life. And so it's simple stuff. It's simple stuff. It's human connection. And that's what we do.
Thank you. And without that, I mean, it's some of these kids don't. We were talking about earlier how they might not have an adult figure in their life who has that time for them.
And now Michaela's a mom. She still lives in town. She has 3 little kids. They're beautiful. And she just got a promotion at work. So I'm really proud of her. And so I think what she saw was a role model and an example. And she was able to perhaps hold on to that in difficult times.
You mentioned it was your first time sort of getting into something like this when you volunteered that way.
I was terrified.
I think that there are, others out there where maybe they haven't done anything like that before, and they might be feeling like, I don't know if I'm the right person to volunteer.
Yes.
I'm not a superstar. I don't
Yes.
play basketball very well.
Kids scare me.
Whatever it is.
Yes.
How does someone know that they might be, a good volunteer who can help?
Well, I'll just tell you that they are, and it doesn't matter who it is. We all bring something to the table. You don't have to be a fishing superstar. You don't have.
I think you have a fishing superstar.
I know, and I'm working him really hard right now. You don't have to have special skills and talents, and I say that in a room full of people who are obviously very talented. And so maybe it's playing video games, maybe it's fishing. For me, one day I showed up and Dad had a box of hair dye in his hand. It was purple. And he said, Michaela would like a purple streak in her hair. I thought, oh my goodness, I have no idea how to do this. Anyway, we learned together. And so it's really not about being something you're not. It's just about bringing your heart to the table. We have kids that would love someone to play catch with. And I mean, we're not on the.
Even I could do that.
Could you?
I can't play golf. But I
Okay,
can play catch.
perfect. Well, and it's as simple as that, because what happens is when you're playing catch, you're also having a conversation and you're learning from each other and making jokes, and you're becoming someone that child trusts. And that's what the child needs. They just need someone in their life they can talk to. And that's what helps build the resiliency.
Something else that we talked about previously that you have volunteers who are 85 years old. I mean, there's no age limit.
There's no age limit. I love to tell the story about Marguerite, and so that it's also an older story, but it fills my heart. She was 84, and she came into our office, and she said, "I'm looking for something in my life," and didn't have grandchildren, and her husband had passed, and we have trained social service workers on staff. So they worked carefully with her and really made sure she could handle it and matched her carefully with the right child. So it happened to be a young woman who really wanted to learn to bake. And my goodness, Marguerite could bake. And so their match lasted a couple of years. And it wasn't the sort of match where they were playing catch in the yard, but it was the sort of match where they built a really strong bond, and not just the child benefited, but it really provided intrinsic value for Marguerite at a time in her life where she really needed someone to talk to too.
What else do the volunteers come back and tell you?
Oh, so many things. So many things. I think the hardest part when I'm talking about mentoring is explaining to someone what they get out of it. Because people think, well, this agency, they want me to give my time, and I don't have a lot of time, and they want me to have some sort of skill, and I have no skills. But what you get back is very hard to describe. But as a former big sister, it really built me up as a human. Um, and I'll tell you, when I was halfway up that rock wall, she gave me so much courage, right?
Aw,
And it's not that I've ever gone rock climbing again, which is probably wise. I think she knew that that was probably the one and only time she'd get me up that rock wall, but she got me to the top.
amazing.
She got me to the top.
Now, Jennifer, I was surprised to learn that volunteerism is on the decline.
Yeah, Statistics Canada says it's down 18% since COVID. That's a pretty alarming number. And I mean, statistics speak for themselves, but what it's meaning is it's becoming harder and harder to get folks to give of themselves and their time. And I don't know all the reasons why that's happening. I think, our biggest population of volunteers before COVID was the young retirees. And of course, they went into hiding during COVID and they haven't come back.
Oh,
And the younger generation, with the economy are often working 2 jobs, but they also haven't been, brought up to have the same level of civic engagement that their grandparents had. And so it's almost like we're redeveloping ourselves as a community, but the richness of volunteering is so important. We've got to find a way back to that. Um, I was thinking on the way in, we run 2 thrift stores, one in Perth and one in Smiths Falls, and that helps fund our work. And our store manager in Perth was saying that our average age of volunteers there now is 82, which is great. They're very committed,
mhm.
and they're a wonderful group of ladies. But when you think ahead, and as the leader of the organization, I worry about the sustainability of what we do. And so when you called and gave me this opportunity, I really wanted to come and give a big pitch for volunteering because it can be so rewarding for you. So we're hoping to get people back on track with that.
Good.
Yeah,
And so that's something that is declining and it's changing, and we'll need to address that
it
change.
is.
Jennifer, you've been with the organization for almost 2 decades.
Yeah,
Um, Wonderful. Good for you. Thank you.
it gets under your skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a very good
I can
way.
see that.
Yeah, it's the margaritas of the world. It keeps you going, right?
Of
Yeah.
course. Is there anything else that you might want to share about what's changing, what's not changing, what the vision for the future is?
Yeah. So I think we have to keep an open mind. And I think, it's really interesting to be part of this podcast and to be at this event today because technology is going to be part of that. And in social services, we're still figuring that piece out, right? We don't have the engineers and the right skill set to do
I
that.
think we have some engineers in the room.
Yeah, and I'm taking names. I'm taking names, but we really have to understand how do we use technology to meet people where they're at, and yet build on human connection. And so that's our challenge for the future. But I put that out to the tech world as well because I think if we work together in that, maybe we can find the solution.
I'm excited. There are a lot of tech folks who want to contribute, who do listen to this podcast,
That's great.
and who are in the room today as well. So very
Yes.
happy that you were here to give that message as well. Really, it comes down to relationships that build community.
It does.
Is there anything else that you want to say about the impact that an organization like this and mentorship and this kind of leadership has on the community?
I think it really grounds us.
Mhm.
Right? It reminds us of the human connection. It reminds us that life is more than getting up, going to work, coming home, making dinner, going to bed. And so many of us have moved for work. I mean, we heard some of those stories today too, and our families are far away. And when we're missing that human connection, we're missing part of ourselves. And so I guess I would just challenge those that are listening today,
Mhm.
try to find that, and we can help you with that. And you'd be surprised what you can find out about yourself at the top of the rock wall.
Beautiful way to end this conversation,
Thank
Jennifer.
you.
And I hope it's the beginning of the conversation for anyone who is thinking about volunteering, who is thinking about how to give back to their community, whether it's with Big Brothers Big Sisters or with another organization or in another way, or if it's just giving your time to someone that needs it. So thank you so much for listening to this very first live event podcast for Wired for Change. Thank you, Jennifer, for being here with us today. And thanks to everyone who's in the room. And that's another episode of Wired for Change.
Thank you.